Sarah and Max, an unlikely pair in this wild podcast, they're the perfect flair. Sarah's charm, so feminine and free, a Cali girl spirit under the podcast tree. Max a strong force with a punch in every word. Together, they navigate this dating absurd. Don't forget to hit subscribe, join the crew for more laughs and tales just for you. Now back to the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Good for Shidduchim. I'm your host, Sarah Whoa, my goodness, Sarah Levine. Along with me is Max Landisman. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Who's my co-host. Today we have a really special guest on today. We're very excited to introduce you. Before we get to her, we do want to say to like us on Spotify and to also follow us on Instagram, Good for Shidduchim, and to email us if you have any questions. Our email is goodforshidduchim@gmail.com. And without further ado, we wanted to introduce Miriam Zeitlin. Welcome, Miriam.
Thank you so much. I'm so pumped and excited to be here with you guys, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Definitely. What's better than talking shidduchim? Seriously.
So, Miriam Zeitlin, you is a dating and relationship coach, a Kallah teacher, and intimacy coach. So you have a lot of insight to a lot of different dynamics, which is very interesting.
I hope so. I hope so.
One of the things that definitely came up, which is why we like to have you on, is when I saw your Instagram, and the first video I saw was basically you talking about how, you know, people are essentially not being their true selves because of shidduchim. It's like, oh, I can't go to this school because they'll look bad for shidduchim or this or that. And so we kind of resonated with that. So we definitely wanted to have you on.
So getting into the first question though, Miriam, we wanted you to tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you're from and how did you get into dating coaching itself?
Okay, so a little bit about myself. I grew up in Brooklyn, born and bred. I come from sort of yeshivish/Haimish family. In high school, though, I was very much an quote-unquote out-of-the-box personality. I ended up going for the second half of high school. I went to school in Chicago in the Midwest.
Really?
Oh, nice.
And that was very unusual for somebody, you know, in my time. But I was very, you know, like I said, out of the box. And I love the idea of, you know, seeing different backgrounds and different ideas in Judaism. And that was honestly, I got to say, the best thing that my parents did for me. Then I got back, and I have to say I got married pretty young. I was 20 when I got married.
That's so late.
I met my husband not through a shidduch.
Oh.
Surprise, surprise to a lot of people.
Tinder?
We just met.
Tinder?
We met through my brother.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Okay.
Max was making a joke about Tinder.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. It was not around that time, but fast forward, you know, my kids started shidduchim, Baruch Hashem, but my two boys got married pretty quickly. But when they were started dating, I became a shatrin. But then I quickly realized, you know what? These people really need guidance. These singles, you know, the singles that I was trying to help. So it just happened organically where I started coaching. But you know, me with my personality, I'm not okay just doing things off the cuff. I went and I took many courses and I got certified in different, you know, types of coaching, including I got certified with Aliza Ben Shalom's course. I did the directed dating approach with Rachel Goldbaum, among many others. And then I did relationship coaching as well. I got certified as a coach through the Gottman Institute. I did a lot of different styles of coaching. So that's where I am now. And then, you know, once my the women that I was coaching became engaged, they kept asking me, can you be my Kallah teacher? Can you be my Kallah teacher? So obviously I had to do that as well. So that's a little bit about myself and how I started this journey.
Oh, wow.
So
That's really nice.
how long have you been doing this for?
So shidduchim, you know, the truth is I really did it. I started out many, many years ago when my children were young. I became, you know, what's called a Rebbitzin with the URA program, the Rebbitzins program.
Yeah, sure.
But at the time, my kids were very young and I couldn't devote myself to it. So I took a long break. And then I got back into shidduchim full time, probably about 5-6 years ago. The coaching itself, I'm doing full time about 3 years.
Nice.
And
wow.
yeah.
Nice. That's good for shidduchim.
Yeah. Have you made any matches?
Yeah. I don't give a number. I was told not to, but
Okay.
thank God I've made successful matches. I even became a shadchan grandmother, so it's actually the best feeling in the world.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so nice.
There really is no better feeling than matching somebody. I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Max set me up with my husband. Well, it's his twin brother.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. But I want to tell all of you people out there,
Yep.
don't be discouraged. If you have no idea, even the most successful shadchanim out there try and try and try and try and fail. And then every once in a while, they'll make a successful match. So don't give up. Keep trying, because, you never know which idea that you have will be the one. So just keep trying.
Miriam, we wanted to ask you also, you mentioned in one of your posts that you don't want people to be scared to live who they truly are. And I wanted you to kind of elaborate on this idea. I think the example that you gave was like a woman who likes to ski she likes to do something. It's kind of like out of the ordinary, but she holds back on telling people that because she's scared it will get in the way of dating, of shidduchim. So we wanted you to elaborate on this idea a little bit.
So, yeah, okay, now I remember which video you're referring to. So I said that the woman does rock climbing.
Oh, right, yeah, rock climbing.
I actually, want to take this even a step further, because honestly, I could speak for hours about this. This is so, it drives me crazy how people literally do not live a genuine life.
Yep.
They live such a fake life.
Yep.
Thinking that they'll get a shidduch based on a lie.
Mm-hmm.
How does that even make sense? It makes no sense to me.
Yep.
Because you have to be genuine in order to attract the right person for you. I'm telling you, I could go on about this for days. I work with people who tell me, guys who are sitting and learning, and I could tell that they're not even interested. They're not learning. So I said to him, what are you doing? Why don't you go out to work? Go to college. No, for shidduchim.
Yep.
No.
Or the opposite. I was working with a girl. She couldn't figure out why she's not connecting with anybody. She's dating. Finally, after digging deep, I realized her father's a Rosh Hashiva. He wants her to marry a serious learning guy, and
Right.
she's not interested.
Yep.
She
Right.
wants to date working guys.
Yep.
So I finally, through a lot of hard work, I convinced her to tell her parents, and thank God, she ended up dating somebody who's working part-time. Okay, at least something.
Right, yeah.
And she got engaged. So
Mazel
you have to be genuine and real, otherwise you're never going to connect with anybody. It's
Yep.
just not going to happen.
Yep.
So you feel like sometimes people try to hide their differences or like their hobbies because they could be a little like different in a bad way?
Yeah, but it's not only hobbies. Hobbies is half a problem. There are people who literally squash their life's dreams and goals. I had somebody, he told me he really would love to be a pilot. I said, wow, that's fascinating. So why don't you go to pilot school? No, my parents told me that it's too unusual and people are going to think I'm weird and strange. And so he ended up becoming an accountant. And he
Oh
hates it.
God.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And
There's
all
only
these
one thing
people who-
worse than a lawyer.
He's probably just feeling like at work he just feels awful. Oh my goodness.
I can't even begin to tell you. He hates it. I had a woman I was working with. She wanted to become a veterinarian. She loves animals. And again, her parents told her that is way too out of the box. Like
Yep.
a regular Beis Yaakov girl should become a veterinarian? That's
Right.
that's crazy.
Yep.
And she
Wow.
ended up doing what all the other girls are doing. She became a speech therapist.
A
Which
speech
again,
lady,
I'm
there
not.
it is.
I wanted to say something. I want to say a caveat. People are going to come and say, Miriam Zeitlin is knocking all these professions. I'm not knocking any
No,
profession.
No,
I
no,
say
no.
the same. Trust me, I say the same thing. I make fun of them all the time.
No, not
But-
at
Yeah,
all.
if
We
that's your
understand.
passion and you love it,
Yeah.
go for it. But if you have a passion for something else and it doesn't, contradict any halacha or any thing in Yiddishkeit, go for it. Like, who cares what people are going to say and what people are going to think? You need to be happy.
Yeah, Mary, you know what I call that? It's an MRS degree.
Exactly. The Mrs. degree.
That's right.
I love that.
I was telling Max in the last episode, somebody who I grew up with told me that her passion was to be a nurse. And I said, you can do it. Go ahead. Like, they have accelerated programs. You can for sure do it. And she said, like, no, she wanted to dedicate so much time to dating that she said that she just couldn't do it. And I said, it's just 15 months, an accelerated program. You can get a job. And like, she still didn't want to do it. To this day, she tells me all the time that she wants to still go to nursing school. But she decided to do graphic design instead. And I just feel so bad because I know where her passion lies. It's not in graphic design. It's becoming a nurse. And she put that aside for dating purposes. So
that's such a shame.
It was a big sacrifice, right? Yeah.
Tell her it's not too late. Not too late. I had a friend who went to nursing school at 45.
Yeah.
So it's not too late.
I tell her all the time. She has 2 kids. She's married, and I tell her, you can still do it. You can still go through these programs, but I feel like sometimes it's just like you miss a boat. It's there, and I feel like she feels that she just like kind of missed the boat a little bit. But
I feel like unless you're dead, it's never too late.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, Max. It's never too late. You never miss the boat.
Yeah,
you never ever miss the boat. You can't look back and and live your life with regret.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Seize the moment, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I think we definitely agree on that one. And I wanted to focus on going to nursing school, so that's why I didn't start dating, quote unquote, until a little later, and people were giving me a hard time about that. But I did what I needed to do, and I love it. I love my job. Yeah. Okay, so we wanted to ask you.
First, let me just, we'll go to the next question in a second, but I just want to add to this point. There's nothing more attractive than a person who has passion in life. If you're passionate about something, you exude this like sort of simchas hachayim and confidence, and it's so attractive. If you're sitting and doing things that you hate or you're not passionate about, like, what's the fun in that?
Right.
Exactly.
So I'm a big believer in having passion. Go for it. There's nothing wrong, unless again it goes against your Jewish values or halacha. Otherwise,
right.
Don't stop yourself.
Yep.
It's true. Yeah. Can you imagine like being on the date with somebody and they're like, "Yeah, I hate my job. Yeah, I hate what I do."
I've been with people like that.
And
Yeah,
you're
trust
like,
me.
"Oh my god." Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? They don't even have to verbally say it. You can feel
tell.
it.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we also wanted to ask you, how do you feel about setting up, quote unquote, like I don't like using this phrase, but older singles? Like, do you feel the shidduch world has a negative connotation with people when they reach a certain age?
So I'm going to say something, and it might be a little controversial. So first of all, this quote-unquote term, like you said, older single, I don't even know what that means, because, who determined what age a person needs to get married? Like, what's older?
Right.
That's not... that's not fair to people, because people think that a girl has to get married at 19 or 20, and by the time she's 22, she's an alta maida, like they say. She's an older girl.
Right.
So let's try to get society to erase the term of older single, because this is causing this shidduch crisis, right? Why is there a shidduch crisis? Because people are saying, oh my God, she's 21, 22, 23, and she's not married. Oh, it's a shidduch crisis. Let's forget about that. People can get married at their own time and at their own age.
Yep.
But, okay, so to answer your question, is there a negative connotation with people in dating when they reach a certain age? So I can tell you, like, as a dating coach and a shadchan, that sometimes it can get difficult to know the difference between an older single who just genuinely did not meet their quote-unquote bashert, or is it somebody that has maybe an unhealthy attachment style, like an avoidant or dismissive attachment style, and that no matter who they're going to date, they're going to find excuses and reasons not to continue. So I'm saying this because, I work with all ages of singles, but, you have to be real and you have to be real with yourself. Are you really, really trying? Or deep down, sometimes it's a subconscious thing that you may not even realize that you're doing it, but you'll find a reason and an excuse not to continue dating anybody.
Right.
So that's the thing. So I don't believe in people not wanting to work with older singles. But yes, I've had situations where no matter what, you can try and try and try, and this person will just find every excuse, and that person needs to get help. So I hope all you older singles forgive me for saying this, because I believe that not everybody has this. Some people genuinely are trying, but there are other people who, for whatever reason, they have some sort of blockage that they need to work on in order to be successful.
Right.
Sure.
And when you say get help, you mean like a therapist or?
Any type of help. I don't want to limit it to one type. It could be a therapist, it could be a coach, it could be a rabbi, a mentor, it could be sometimes even a person may have some sort of anxiety or depression and they need medication maybe. I'm a believer in trying all avenues. Don't limit yourself. But if you find that you're really trying and you have patterns of dating and patterns in relationships that are good, you're going around in circles, you keep having similar or the same patterns again and again and again, then something is broken and it has to be fixed.
Right.
But again, I don't want to, God forbid, say that this is for every older, quote unquote, older single.
Of course.
Because there are many singles who are really trying. And for whatever reason, Hashem is saying now is not your time yet. So.
Yeah. It's kind of like what we say. We basically bash Shadchanim all the time that they suck at what they do, but it doesn't mean all of them do. We're just pointing out the ones that are terrible.
Not all are like that.
Right. We understand what you're saying. We understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Listen, you have to realize that in every profession there are bad apples. I'm not going to say, I've met shadchanim that really should not be in this profession, but overall, I have to say, people don't realize how hard shadchanim work, and for the most part, you're not getting paid, and it's not about money. I really don't want to get into a whole thing about money at all. That's not what this is, but. You have no idea how much time, and we'll talk about this, I think, in a later question. You don't know how much shadchanim do that years ago shadchanim didn't do what they're doing today. So you have to realize shadchanim really, really work hard, and for the most part, they genuinely care and they genuinely are trying. So
yeah, to play devil's advocate, which I love to do. I talk about this, from time to time about onos devarim stuff, of that nature, where whether the intention was, whether it was good or bad, but if you, let's say you go to your neighbor, right? You introduce yourself. He's new in the community. You ask him what he does. He says he's a music teacher in a high school. And then, you say a joke such as, what they say, if you can't do, you teach, right? Whatever. So, The idea is that the intent was really just to be friendly, but in reality, you just really ticked off somebody else. You embarrassed somebody else. Where I'm coming from with shadchanim, and again, it's not every shadchan. I just see it because from a lot of my friends a lot of what we do on this podcast is to kind of point out things that they may not really be aware of that they're doing, even though they're quote unquote trying and they're, good-hearted, but they may be doing a lot of damage that they're not aware of, such as, especially with divorced people, like to set up a girl who's 30 with a 53-year-old guy who has 4 kids. Yeah. I mean, I don't know where but this is happening. I mean,
right. I mean, right. We don't want to generalize, that all shadchanim are not trying and there's no good intentions. That's not what we want to say. It's more of we're coming from a place of we've kind of lived through these negative situations, and Max still does, and we still have friends that come up and talk to us about the craziest things that shadchanim have done or said that were either insensitive or just kind of wackadoo. So
Yeah. I don't disagree with you, by the way. You have no idea how much damage control I do as a coach and as a
Right.
shot.
I can only
People tell me
imagine.
I fall off my chair from the things that people tell me Shadchanim have told them. So I don't
Right.
disagree.
Right.
And I think it's great that you're bringing awareness, because if you can bring awareness to it, and if you can bring like real examples of things like Max, the joke, quote unquote, that you just said before, that's these are the type of things that you should be speaking about, because sometimes, yes, Shadchanim just like are insensitive, but sometimes they really don't realize. And if
Right.
you bring awareness to it, it can really help. So
Right.
I think it's tremendous. Yeah.
I to add on to that, something that you mentioned, like you actually got trained to do this. I can't say the same about a lot of people. Everyone thinks they're a shadchan. You know what I mean? Like, because they just determine that they're a shadchan. So, I think there was a stat. I wish I could quote it somewhere, but there are more shadchanim today than there ever has been. But they're less meaning the more shadchanim, there are less matches.
I thought you were going to say there's more Shadchanim than singles.
No.
I thought that's where you were going to go. I was laughing. Yeah.
No, it's just
So
that.
you know what? I want to tell you something. You brought up Lisa Elephant before, so I want to tell you that what she's doing is amazing.
I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan.
She is. No, I'll tell you what she's doing that a lot of people don't know. She. It's mandatory for all people under quote unquote the Adopt a Shadchan umbrella, that they have to take a certain training.
Yep.
That people don't realize it, that she's because exactly for this reason.
Yep.
She demands that all the Shadchanim in the Adopt a Shadchan network have to have training, and then they have to take a certain course.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think it's amazing what she's doing. So shout out to Lisa.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lisa. We had her on. I loved everything that she's doing. We even discussed there's quality control, and I pushed her on it, asking, what do you mean by that? And so what she mentioned was, obviously they're against sending out quantity versus quality. They want more quality. So, but they actually have someone on staff that actually reviews the matches. So if they see that someone's just sending out consistently terrible ideas, they will throw them off. And so I can't say the same about other platforms. They don't have the same type of. In fact, I know of a platform that I really wanted these people to come on the podcast, but it's easier to get someone to testify against a mob boss than it is to testify about shidduchim. But someone who was on a platform as a shadchan would set up one person a year, but wouldn't send out a lot of ideas unless she thought it was a very good possibility that's a match. For 5 years straight, she made 5 shidduchim, one match per year. Long story short, they complained that she wasn't sending out enough matches, and she was eventually thrown off the platform. I have heard about Adopt a Shadchan, which is something that I disagree as far as people saying this about them, but I'm going to bring it up. Like when they hear about like, oh, they have a training program, some people are like, psst, they have a training program, like it's ridiculous, and it's like,
why? Like they should already know what to do?
that. I'm not kidding.
What does that
Really?
even mean? What does that even mean? Somebody can genuinely want to be a good shadchan and to get training on how to navigate it, what to say, what not to say, things like that. I actually think it's a positive. Like,
I
you
think it's
wouldn't
great.
want a nurse or a doctor or a lawyer who didn't get training, so or any sort of
Right.
therapist or anything. So why not with shidduchim? I actually think it's amazing.
I think it's amazing, 100%. What I'm trying to bring up is that there are a lot of people out there that think they're shadchanim and they're not. And the problem is that because they do think they're a shadchan and they get involved with setting people up, that's what's really causing a lot of issues, such as telling girls they need to be a size 0 or you're never going to get married. Like stuff like this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. So I want to tell you something, all the listeners out there, and I say this to people all the time. Just like you said, Max, there's so many shadchanim out there.
Yeah.
If you are working with a shadchan and you don't like their style or their vibe or they're saying things, you don't have to work with them. You don't have to work with somebody who makes you feel bad or who doesn't, who doesn't boost your confidence, and instead they're pushing you down. Don't work with them. Ghost them, block them, whatever it is. Don't work with them. There's so many other shadchanim you can work with.
Yeah.
That's true. I honestly wish I heard that, like that advice when I was dating, because I was told from a couple shadchans, like, I'm like the shadchan would say, I'm like the only hope for you. Like they would hold my vulnerability against myself, kind of like manipulate it in a way to be like, you need me to help you find your match. So this is what you need to do. And if you don't do it, if you drop me, it's shame on you because I'm your last hope.
That's terrible. I'm telling you, my heart hurts for all the singles who have to hear these things. But again, I'm telling you, if somebody doesn't make you feel good about yourself, drop them. You do not have to work with them at all. That's it. It's finished. Period. End of story.
So yeah, that's why when we have on a shadchan or a dating coach like that we actually like, such as yourself, we had Lisa on, so that you can go to them. At least we know that they're good and they actually know what they're doing, versus just some random person who thinks they're a shadchan.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, it's terrible, but anyway, what can we do?
Yes, exactly.
You guys are bringing awareness to this, so good for you.
We hope so. We really do want to spread the word. But anyways, Miriam, we did want to ask you a couple more questions.
Sure.
I am going to go out of order if that's okay.
Not a problem.
We wanted to know, how do you feel about mothers and parents being involved in their child's dating life? Is there ever a time that it can be taken too far?
Another topic that I love to speak about. I actually wrote an article about this. So let me tell you something.
Sure.
I am a big believer in, if you are ready to start dating and you're ready to get married, you're ready to take care of your dating life by yourself. But let me just say, somebody's clapping over there.
I'm clapping.
No,
I was actually going to.
clapping.
I was standing up for you.
I really do believe it because...
There we go.
There you go.
Anyways.
Okay, I think my job is done here. Bye.
I know.
Yeah.
No, I'm a big fan of it.
Let me say something. So, obviously parents not need to be, that's the wrong word, but can be involved, as much as the dater single wants. But what happens is that too often, I'll give you an example, right? A mother reached out to me. She says, I have a 29-year-old son, and, I heard you're a shadchan. Can you help him? I'm like, yeah, give him my number. Let him call me. Like, why is a 29-year-old not reaching out to shadchanim themselves? Why is the mother, having to speak for them?
Yeah.
Right.
It's weird.
That's a good call. Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Parents should be, in the background. They're there to support, to encourage, to give guidance when needed, even though that often I think that you shouldn't get guidance from your parents. You should get guidance from an objective person, because the parents are too emotionally involved.
Right.
I've seen so often parents who literally project their own wants and desires onto their children.
Right.
And
it's pretty
they
prominent.
tell their children, it's crazy. This is a very big problem.
Yes.
Because you have to realize, as parents, your child is different than you. They have different wants, different needs, different lifestyle, different desires, different emotional needs, different everything.
Yeah.
You know how many times a parent nicks the shidduch that could have been really, really good for their child because, what's society going to say? What's my neighbors going to say? How's it going to look?
Right.
Unbelievable.
It's really, really terrible. But I'm not saying that parents shouldn't be involved at all. But give your child the independence. Make them feel like they're an adult. Don't micromanage, everything. I don't deal with any shidduch thing unless I speak to the single themselves. If only the mother is involved, no, thank you. I need to speak. I need to meet them. I need to get to know them.
Right.
The mother.
The
How many times
yeah.
the mother described a child's personality or the things that the child wants and needs, and then I ended up speaking to them, and it was completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my son is very outgoing, and he's like so charming and charismatic, and going on and on and on. And then you meet this guy, and he can't even open his mouth.
That's right.
So.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
That's right. He's
Yeah.
just the nicest. I mean, I'm just so nice. He's family oriented, right?
Yeah, but like
Exactly.
you don't know anything about him. Well, Miriam, I wanted to ask you, what do you think of this? We saw this event for singles and for mothers
Ooh.
of the men who are looking. What do you think of that? It was single girls. It was for single girls and for mothers of men looking.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm speechless. I don't get speechless. But you know what? I feel bad saying this. I don't know who organized this event, but not my idea. Not something I would go for.
We
at
also
all.
we also thought it was kind of a joke, but it really wasn't.
No, I had I made fun of it by saying that if a mother is overly involved, I call it the overzealous mom, that's overly involved in setting up her son, that the punishment should be that when the son goes out on the date, the mother has to go with him, and they have to kind of
Who's that a punishment for, though? That's a punishment for this child, not for her.
Right.
She'd
true.
love it.
I never thought of it that way, but
Yeah.
you're kind of right on that one.
She's right on that.
So again,
You're
you
kinda
know what?
right.
Let's go back to the original question. I'm not saying, I don't want people to misconstrue my words. I'm not saying that parents shouldn't be involved or can't be involved. Of course they can be and they should be, and especially, certain ages, certain circles. But for a mother to go to an event and pick out a boy, okay, I want that one, or a girl, I want that one, that's a little bit too much for me. I don't believe in that.
I also kind of spun it around. Let's say it's the girl's father that comes and is trying to pick out a daughter. Like, that's completely unacceptable. But the other way around's acceptable. Like, I don't know. I just don't see it.
It's
Just like
not
stupid.
acceptable on any level.
Yeah.
I don't believe in it. Whatever. That's just my opinion.
And that's why we
Yeah.
have you on the Good for Shidduchim podcast.
not my idea.
Okay, Miriam, what do you think about pictures on resumes?
Okay. Honestly, I have a love-hate relationship with pictures because, let's face it, pictures were always a thing. People think it's a new thing. It's not. I remember when I was dating, and I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but in my days, the guys try to get, they have, the girls have the yearbooks, when they graduate.
Yeah.
That was the shidduch picture back then, the yearbook pictures.
Yearbook picture.
So there were always pictures. There were always pictures. Now it became a thing, that it's just flying around WhatsApp and emails and things like that. So,
Right.
I mean, pictures are here to stay, but I want to just say something. And I know people, know this internally, but they really have to understand it. When you see a picture of somebody, if you look at it and you're like, okay, no way, Jose, this is not, okay, that's one thing. But if it's pariv or neutral or you don't have a strong reaction one way or another, go for it, because you can't judge on a picture. So many times people look very, very different in real life. Not many times, all the time. A person either looks better or worse in person. And you can also, between me and you can't even trust photos because 3/4 of the photos are photoshopped.
Yep,
So
that's true. Or like dated, like they've been taken from like so long ago.
7 years ago, exactly. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Big pet peeve of mine. I always tell people you should update your photo every 6 months.
Oh wow, every 6 months. Yeah.
I mean, I could get behind
I really
that.
believe that.
Yeah,
every
for
6
sure.
months.
Yeah, people change for sure.
You lose weight, you gain weight, you get a little older, you have a beard, you don't have a beard, you dyed your hair, you didn't dye your hair's long, your hair's short. I don't know, there's so many changes that can happen. Styles change, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Always,
For sure.
every 6 months. Yeah.
I can get behind that. Yeah, there's nothing like, it's very, very few times where it gets like super frustrating when you get really catfished, which has happened to me a number of times. It's just what a waste.
It's not ideal.
No. But yeah.
What are people thinking? They think that you're going to put out a photo that doesn't look like you, then you're going to show up on the date,
Right.
and then what? It makes no sense.
And then they're
I know.
gonna like me for who I am. But
Exactly.
I don't think it happens
But
that
like
way.
at that moment, they've lied. You've been lied to. That's the worst part. Is like, just show me like what you actually look like.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not
Yeah.
good for
Starting
shidduchim.
off a relationship on a bad note.
bad note,
Exactly. It's
exactly.
like, but you lied to me.
Right.
No, exactly. Okay. So, Miriam, when do you feel like someone can cross the line in terms of being too picky, versus like having deal breakers? Like, I know people, have fundamental deal breakers when they're looking for a spouse, but when do you feel like that does cross the line to being extremely picky?
So in order to answer this question, I want to just explain what a real deal breaker is.
Sure.
A real deal breaker is something that when you have a real need in a relationship, where you have like an emotional need, and without this, you cannot feel fulfilled or happy in the relationship. Okay, that's a real deal breaker. Things like height and age and profession and eye color and the city that they come from. I'm just trying to think of other things that people say no for. All those things,
right.
Those can never be a real deal breaker, because how does that really genuinely affect the relationship or how you feel in the relationship? It doesn't. So I think that people really have to dig deep and really know themselves and really figure out, is this going to affect my emotional health, the health of the relationship? Am I going to feel fulfilled or happy or satisfied in the relationship if I have this or if I don't have it? If the answer is yes, then that's a real deal breaker. If not, move on. Don't just have like a list of 1,000 things, because we all know that nobody's perfect and nobody gets everything on their list.
Right.
So you really have to understand what a real deal breaker means.
Right. What is your opinion on, I don't think I've ever met a woman who said like height is not a big deal. Like even when there was a woman who doesn't really care about anything else other than height. What is your response to that?
So I'll tell you the truth. My thought about this actually changed over time as I did more coaching. So for a lot of women, if they're being unrealistic, if they're 5'3" and they'll only date somebody who's 5'10" and above, that's already extreme. But for many women, and in the reverse, for many men, height matters because it's a sense of security. It's a sense of, they want the guy to be like sort of the protector. They want to feel safe with the guy. So I do kind of understand where height can be, but not to the extreme. Yeah. But for many people, it doesn't matter. Some guys really don't care if the woman is taller than them. And some women don't have that need to feel that security in that way in the relationship. So if again, this is going back to deal breakers, is this something that will genuinely affect how you feel in the relationship? If yes, then it can be a genuine deal breaker. Right. But if not, then take that off your list.
Right.
For a lot of people, it doesn't matter.
Right. I was always trying to understand that from the perspective of feeling secure, because let's say there's a girl who's 5'9", and I've asked other women about this, where you can have, let's say, a bodybuilder or someone who looks like you don't want to mess with, but he's 5'8", or he's an inch shorter than the girl. It's still like a deal breaker to them. What is it about height versus just someone who's completely jacked?
And I will say, for Max's disclaimer,
so
Max is pretty tall. I'm just saying.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I happen to be tall. I'm 5'9", so for a woman, that's pretty tall.
Yeah.
But I want to answer your question about that, Max, because I think a lot of times it's something that they convince themselves. They convince themselves, I need a guy who's a certain height. But if they give it a chance, and if they date somebody who's built, and maybe he's not 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet or whatever, it might work for them. That's why I say you really have to dig deep and know yourself, but you also have to give things a chance, because you'll never know. Yeah. How many times? I mean, the funniest story is of the guy that he was 6'2", and he told his mother, I have to have somebody who's let's say like 5'6" or 5'7" and above, because I'm so tall. So she kept looking at the resumes, and she kept she was very hyper focused on the height. Then for whatever reason, she got one resume of a girl, and she really was so taken by it. She loved what she saw. She forgot to look at the height. Right. Okay, they set up the date. you know, when the girl comes, she's like, oh my God, she is so short. My son is going to freak out. But she couldn't say anything.
Right.
And, you know, so they ended up dating, and she's waiting for her son to say something, and he's not saying anything, and they're dating and dating and dating, and they ended up getting engaged and married. And then finally she asked him, like, you know, you told me you want somebody who's like 5'7", and this girl's 5'2". He said, you know what, I didn't even notice. Like, I was so taken by her personality.
Yeah.
So that's the type of thing where I say, like, give things a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And how do you feel about age? I know, like, there's sometimes guys can be very particular about dating someone much, much younger than them. Like, I know sometimes I speak to guys in their like late 30s and they're okay with dating somebody in their early 20s, or someone who's like 30. I know, like, will only date somebody who's like literally like 19 and 20. I wanted to.
I just threw up in my mouth for the record.
I just wanted.
I'm also.
I know, but it's out there. This like theme of dating much younger women, even when you're a little bit older than them. I feel like always presents itself. I just wanted to know your opinion about it.
I believe that, like, and I don't want to give an exact number, but I will give a number. Approximately 10 years is what I believe makes sense. I don't want to give, you know, I don't want to say, because if it's 11 years and it really makes sense, go for it. But more than that is just, I don't believe in it. You know, of course guys want to marry, you know, young, pretty looking, you know, young woman, but it doesn't make sense. So I really believe within 10 years.
Right.
And I believe that some people have the opposite, like they'll only marry somebody who's 2 or 3 years, you know, or a guy who won't go out with somebody who's a year or 2 older than him. Like, let's relax a little about that. You know, within 10 years, obviously a guy maybe doesn't want to date somebody who's 5, 6 years older, but a year or 2 older, or you know, up to 10 years younger, that's okay.
Why do you think that is, though, that guys want to date like much younger than them?
Because it's fresh, and they're often, the younger women just have like a vibrancy to them and a freshness, and they look younger, they look maybe prettier. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying women nowadays can look amazing in their 50s and 60s and 70s even. So,
right.
But so why do they do that? I don't know, but it's a little bit creepy if you know.
I agree.
I agree too. I try to keep it like in my mind, like in the family. Like, if you're 35, like 30, I don't know. I like, this guy really is like 21, 22. That's what he wants. It's very interesting to me.
And is it happening? It's not realistic, so it's probably not happening for him.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, most 21-year-olds are not dating a 38-year-old unless she's so desperate, or unless he's a billionaire, or I don't know what else. You know?
It's kind of like going out with your dad.
$1 billion, you know.
Right.
Right. I mean, I don't know what motive could be behind them wanting to go out, but I was also thinking the same thing. Like, if I was 21 and a guy was like, I'm 32, and like he was presented to me, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, like I'm really interested in him. I'd think about it, but I mean, you're much younger. 21 to 32 is like a complete and total different.
It's very different. People don't realize that you're a decade apart. You're a different. I don't know. You're kind of a different stage in life. So I would say up to 10 years. That's what I feel comfortable saying.
Like either way?
Give or take.
Oh, okay.
Not either way. Maybe if a guy is comfortable with that, why not? But I'm saying, I don't even know. But between me and you, let's just talk about this for a second. Where did this idea come from that the guy has to be older? Women, you know, why does that have to be?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm older than my husband, so I really don't know.
Well, a lot of times.
Both my sons are older than their wives, so their wives are older, I mean.
Right.
Oh, so there you go. Yeah,
Well,
I don't know. I don't know where this concept came from.
Well, when you ask, I've asked both sides. You know, it's almost like the guys want to marry a girl who's younger, but the girls want to marry a guy who's older. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they're kind of both at fault in a way.
You're saying that girls want to marry a guy who is older? and a guy
Tell me
wants to marry somebody younger.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, do you agree? Do you disagree? Not necessarily in your case.
That is
in
it.
general.
But the question is why? Like, what's wrong with like dating somebody who's 2 years older than you and she's a woman? I don't know.
I mean, Miriam, I'd like to hear your point, but the way where I'm coming from is, and this is really just a guess, an educated guess. Women want to date someone who's financially secure, so they may want to go out with someone who's more established. And a guy wants to date someone who, according to them, are higher chance of giving, birth or something like that. I think it's all ridiculous because, Lisa Elfin said it best. You can give birth when you're 50. Who cares? It's not up to you. It's up to God anyways. But what do you think about that, and what's your take?
So that's a loaded question. First of all, financial security. I am not. Obviously, a person has to be stable in their life, but nobody ever has financial security because parnassus from Hashem. So I'm a big believer in. A lot of people wait to start dating until they're financially secure. I don't believe in that, but you do have to be stable. There's a difference between secure and stable.
Right.
A guy who can't hold down a job and is not stable, that's very different than having financial security. It's two different things. But I don't know. Is that really what women are going after? I wonder. And this whole fertility thing,
it's a joke.
Yes, a woman's fertility does go down with age, but nowadays there's so much medical intervention. Women are having babies into their 50s, like Lisa said. It's I don't know.
And who's to say a 21-year-old can have a kid? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no
God
guarantee.
forbid, like nobody should go through any of it, but it's not a golden standard for fertility at all. So then, Miriam, all these people that go through dating, they have like this burnout feeling. They feel jaded. It is hard to pick yourself up and dust yourself off, being told so many times no by people or rejected by people. What are your words of encouragement for these singles that are dating and having these feelings of burnout and being jaded?
So I have a couple of things, to say. Obviously, I'm not going to pretend that I can actually feel your pain because, like I said, I got married pretty young. But I do get what burnout feels like and what rejection can feel like. So here's a couple of things. First of all, don't feel like you're alone in this. Many people are going through it. So have a good support system. I really, really genuinely believe that helps. What are people looking for when they want to get into a relationship? They're looking for intimacy. They're looking for an intimate relationship, and having good friendships obviously will not take away the desire to have an intimate relationship with somebody from the opposite gender, like to have a marriage. But good relationships where you can, in your own way be intimate with somebody, like a girlfriend or a boyfriend, can really help. Another thing that I would say is your worth shouldn't be determined by your relationship status. You can be, and I speak about this all the time, you can be so productive and really contribute to society and to your family and to community in so many ways. Yes, it doesn't take away the pain and the loneliness, but your worth isn't determined by your relationship status. What else? Also, it's okay to take a break. You don't have to date, bam, 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 one after the next, after the next. That's what can cause the burnout and that jaded feeling. If you need to take a break, take a break. It's okay. Do other things in your life. Have hobbies. We spoke about hobbies and passion before. Yeah. Do things that you're passionate about. Any other good, and the bottom line is, give it up to God. If you really, really have to believe that God, Hashem, has a plan for you, we don't understand it. It's difficult. And, obviously you want it and you want it now, but talk to Hashem. Tell him how hard it is for you.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I genuinely believe that aspect of it has been forgotten about. The God part, that maybe this is not in your control. You can pray for it. That doesn't mean he could say no. But I feel like there's this emphasis on depending on other people, not God. So I was really glad you said that.
Yeah,
and also in believing in yourself. You know the joke about the parking spot. Should I say it quickly?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I don't know the parking spot.
Oh, the joke about the parking
She's
spot.
from Pittsburgh.
I don't know the parking spot.
This guy is late for a business meeting, and he's circling and circling for parking. And finally he looks up and he says, God, if you give me a parking spot right now, I'll donate $50 to charity. Nothing doing. So finally he says, I'm so desperate, I'll give $500 to charity. But he's still circling. Nothing happening. $5,000. I'll give $5,000 to charity. Nothing. Then he says, you know what? I'm so desperate. I'm going to be late to this business meeting. It's an important meeting. I'll give $50,000 to charity if I find a parking spot right now. And then in front of his face, somebody gets into a car, like right in front of him, and pulls out. And he pulls into the parking spot, and he looks up and goes, yeah, never mind. I found a spot.
Yep.
That's what people, we have to know that everything is from Hashem. We know we daven, or we this. We don't believe it. Believe it. Everything is from Hashem. You could think, I did it. It's all because of me. No. It's all because of Hashem. So
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
But I do feel that, singles that do feel this way, they are valid in feeling how they are. It is very frustrating. Rejection after rejection is it's just not easy for anyone. But I do feel like there's kind of like this underlying panic that if you take a break, you're going to miss it.
You won't miss it because, first of all, very often, how many times do you hear people who were, quote unquote, older singles, and then they said, oh, I met my bashert when I least expected it. Yeah. Sometimes when you take a break, and taking a break means that you're not focused on it every second. You're not anxious. You're letting go in a way. And that's when it can happen. That's when the bracha can come into your life. I'm not saying always, but it can happen that way, when you least expect it. But I want to just also say one thing. Be kind to yourself. It's okay to feel this way. Don't feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me, or maybe my emuna's not so good, or whatever thoughts you may be having about yourself because you're feeling burnt out and you're feeling bad about it. Be kind, be compassionate to yourself. It's okay. It's okay to have these feelings. Don't even try to fight it because, the more you fight it, the more it just will perpetuate in your mind. So Yeah. And it's not easy. I feel for all of you. I really do. It's not easy. It's lonely. It's painful. But that's basically my words of chizuk. But really, the only thing possible is just to give it up to a higher power. If you let go of the thought that it's up to you to control when and how you're going to meet, if you let go of that and you give it up to a higher power, that's actually very calming, because it's not up to me, it's up to God.
Right.
So
that's right.
God has a plan for me.
Yes, I definitely agree. It's definitely hard, but I always say to be kind to yourself, because that's the best thing you can do. I feel like sometimes people beat themselves up and say it's me, it's me, it's me. But the best thing you can do is really just be kind to yourself and have positive thoughts. Okay.
Yeah, and I want to just add one more thing.
Sure.
Because you were saying it's me. It's not you. Some people think if I was taller, shorter, skinnier, fatter, wealthier, come from a better family, a million things can go through your head to think oh, this is why I'm not getting married. So let me just tell you guys a little news bulletin. There are people of all types and stripes and weights and heights and family backgrounds and wealth and careers. All types of people get married. So it's not something that you can do differently. I mean, maybe you can show up, in a more genuine way. But besides for that, don't feel like you have to change parts of yourself in order for it to happen, because all types of people get married. That's the honest truth.
100%. And for our last question, Miriam, we wanted to ask you if there was anything you wanted to change in the shidduch system, or anything that you feel very strongly about that should be changed.
You saved this for the last because you knew I would be able to carry on about this for days, right?
I thought it was a nice closing question.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you. In short, I really honestly believe that we should do away with all the shidduch rules. I'm so anti-rules.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm anti-rules. There's so many
nice to hear.
rules.
Yeah.
There's so many rules. Forget about it. Let things happen as they happen. It's okay if you're at a wedding and you see a guy, go over. I don't believe in like all these things, or in many circles now, it's like the shadchan has to go do the back and forth. What day are you available?
Right,
what time?
right.
Oh, I'm not available then. I'm available then. Pick up the phone, speak to each other, set up the dates.
Yeah.
Or what else? How many dates, right? Oh, by 7 to 10 dates, you have to get engaged. Who said? If you're
Right.
not ready, you're not ready.
Right.
What else? I mean, there's so many rules. There's so many things.
Right.
The location of the dates. Who said you have to go to a hotel lounge? Who said you have to go to a restaurant? Who said that? Do what makes you happy. Go
Yeah.
to places that you like.
Yeah.
What other rules are there? I don't know. There's so many rules. Forget the rules. Do what feels good for you. Do what feels right for you. And don't look over your shoulder and say, what's my neighbor going to think? Or what's, it doesn't matter. You do you.
Yeah.
I always say, well, I could be wrong, but I always say that dating is the most selfish thing that you can do for yourself, because you're not dating for other people, you're dating for yourself.
Depends who you ask.
Absolutely. Dating, you have to be selfish in dating.
I think you should, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Miriam. Max, do you have any other questions?
No, but if people want to find you or connect with you, how do they do so?
So they can check out my website, miriamzeitlincoaching.com. I'm also on Instagram at Miriam Zeitlin Coaching. My phone number, 718-909-6256. I'd love to hear from all of you. Any feedback, any comments about the things that we spoke about today. And I hope you all enjoyed.
Yeah, and we'll definitely leave all that info down in the description below.
Yes. Thank you so much, Miriam. And we
Amazing.
appreciate your time.
Yep.
Absolutely. This was a lot of fun, and we'll be in touch.
Yes,
Likewise,
for sure.
definitely. Thanks,
All
man.
right. Take care. All the
Take care.
best. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And remember, everything will always be about shidduchim. Catch you in the next episode.